Okay, so here's the Kierkegaard question here. So, really, I'm just going to, excuse me, refer you to the audio that's at the Kierkegaard study guide. Answering these questions or, or kind of going over this is basically just kind of redoing that. Um, so, um, a little something though, just to kind of note of what to focus on and kind of make salient part of your presentation of Kierkegaard. Um, really want to isolate these different forms of choosing. So you should really be able to kind of know what that is and be able to get into them and to see how different forms of choosing really have different kinds of consequences, mostly for the self, when the person doing the choosing. So in the aesthetic stage, that's the rotation method. And I'm not going to go into that again, but the ethical stage, I just call it absolute choice. Um, and um, what we want to see as connected to is inwardness that increases in the ethical stage, and then even further at the religious stage because of the different kinds of choosing that we do at the ethical stage, and then at the religious stage, which is the leap of faith. So that's pretty complicated and I think really interesting, and probably one of the deeper, more important parts of Kierkegaard's whole message is really what inwardness is and how it turns out to be a function of the kind of choosing you do. So um, go through, what you can from the Kierkegaard and listen to my audio there, and also kind of have your own thoughts going about what is this inwardness stuff. And when he talks about the passion and the intensity, I mean, what is he really getting at? Is it just like inner fireworks, like when you're in love and you're like, you know, like that, which is great, but I mean, this is supposed to be some kind of ultimately deep inner experiences that we're having. So, what kinds of passion and intensity does he really mean? And what is this inwardness of which he speaks? So in class, we suggested a couple things that might be. Certainly, that might be some kind of divine energy within the soul, because he is a Christian. Although he purposely, tries to leave his Christianity out of his work in both the aesthetic and ethical stages. So there is a secular way to understand Kierkegaard and what inwardness is. And rather than some kind of divine energy, maybe it's like the property of being itself, or the energy of just being itself. And you can have a greater or lesser awareness of your own being, depending, well, I guess, how we choose and what are the internal goings on when we choose, and how does that bring us closer to or farther away from being. So it could be either of those things. So yeah, that's really about it. I'm going to, just because I'm going to point to, so to speak, refer you to the longer discussion that I've got in the audio on the Kierkegaard study guide that will go through each of the stages. So, alrighty, good thing if you want to do the Kierkegaard. I think it's quite interesting. We'll leave it at that.